Like many teenagers, Demi struggled with her weight, but under the harsh Hollywood lights, the pressure to be thin took its toll. Demi became bulimic and at age 11 secretly started self-mutilating her wrists. At a low point, Demi entered rehab in 2010.
Let's talk about the first factor in Demi Lovato's case, the biological factors. Biological factors refers to genetic, brain, and physical processes that may increase a person's vulnerability to developing an eating disorder. These factors do not automatically cause the disorder, but they create a higher level of risk. In Demi Lovato's case, our research shows that eating disorder are often linked to genetic predisposition. This means that some individuals may inherit a higher risk of developing a mental health conditions, including anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. If there is a family history of mood disorders, anxiety, or eating disorder, the likelihood increases. Another important biological factors involves neurotransmitters, especially serotonin. Serotonin plays a major role in regulating mood, appetite, impulse control, and emotional stability. When serotonin are imbalanced, a person may experience mood swings, obsessive thoughts, anxiety, and difficulty controlling behaviors. These symptoms are commonly seen in individuals with eating disorder, particularly those who engage in food restriction or purging. In Demi Lovato's story, she was open about being diagnosed with a mood disorder during her struggles. Mood disorders are often have a biological component and they have commonly co-occur with eating disorder. This is called comorbidity, which means two disorders exist at the same time. An underlying imbalance in brain chemistry may have made her more emotionally vulnerable. When combined with psychological stressor and intense industry pressure, this biological vulnerability increased her risk of developing disordered eating behaviors. Biologically speaking, these vulnerabilities do not directly cause an eating disorder. However, they increase a person's vulnerability to stress and emotional distress. When combined with psychological, social, and cultural influences, the likelihood of developing the disorder becomes much more stronger. The biological factors in Demi Lovato's case includes genetic predisposition, neurochemical imbalance, particularly involving serotonin, and co-occurring mood disorder. These biological vulnerabilities interacted with other dimensions of her life, contributing to the development and maintenance of her eating disorder.
Psychologically, Demi Lovato struggled with low self-esteem, perfectionism, trauma-related vulnerability, and a strong need for control, which are the major risk factors for eating disorders. Individuals with bulimia often tie their self-worth closely to the body image and develop a distorted thinking patterns, such as believing that they are only valuable if they are thin or flawless. Like for example, a person with bulimia says, "If I'm not thin, I'm a failure." Perfectionism can intensify this, leading to constant criticism and fear of failure. According to the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition, text revisions, overvaluation of weight and shape is central to the disorder. In Demi Lovato's case, disordered eating likely served as a coping mechanism to manage emotional pain and regain a sense of control. This shows that her eating disorder was deeply connected to identity, self-worth, and psychological regulation, not simply concerns about food.
Emotionally, Demi used eating behaviors as maladaptive coping strategies. She has openly stated that binging or restricting help her manage stress, trauma, and overwhelming feelings. Binge eating may have temporarily numbed emotional pain, while restriction created a false sense of control. However, this behavior increased shame and guilt, which continued the cycle emotional dysregulation, therefore played a major role in maintaining her eating disorder.
In terms of social factors, growing up in the public exposed Demi to constant evaluation and criticism. Media scrutiny and public commentary about her body likely increased body dissatisfaction and stress. Social comparison with the entertainment industry may have intensified pressure to maintain a certain appearance. These social pressures interacted with her personal vulnerabilities, the lack of privacy, and continuous judgment likely contributed to the persistence of her disorder.
Cultural environment factors. Culturally,
The entertainment industry promotes thinness and unrealistic beauty standards. Western media often equates thin bodies with success and attractiveness, which increases risk for eating disorders. Demi has spoken about feeling pressured to meet these expectations. Internalizing these cultural ideals may have reinforced her restrictive and oppository behaviors. This cultural environment normalized unhealthy standards that contributed to the severity of her symptoms.
From a behavioral perspective, her eating disorder followed a reinforcement cycle. Demi Lovato described binge eating followed a guilt and purging, where purging temporarily reduced anxiety, negatively reinforcing the behaviors and making it more likely to repeat. In a neurotic pattern, food restriction may have been reinforced by feelings of control or praise for weight loss. Over time, this behavior became habitual coping mechanism. The repeated binge purge restricts cycle that reflects conditioning processes that maintain the disorder.
Cognitive factors. Cognitively, eating disorders are maintained by distorted beliefs about body image and self worth. Demi has shared that she was constantly preoccupied with thoughts about food and her body, showing overvaluation of weight and shape. Common distortions include perfectionism, black and white thinking, and equating thinness with success or value. These maladaptive beliefs likely intensified her restrictive behaviors and binge purge cycles. So, cognitive behavioral models explain that these distorted thinking patterns play essential role in maintaining anorexia and bulimia.